Many years ago, in a quiet village, life was simple and the fields were lush and green. The villagers lived peaceful, ordinary lives until that dreadful night. That night, a pregnant villager named Zhang Xiulan went into labor. She was in terrible pain, rolling on the bed. Her husband, Liu Dezhu, panicked and ran to fetch the village midwife, Old Wang. Old Wang was in her 60s, an experienced midwife known for her skills. People called her the living goddess of childbirth. Old Wang arrived at Zhang's house with her worn-out midwife box. She carefully comforted Xiulan while opening her box, revealing old tools wrapped in cloth, yellowing scissors and rusted needles that made everyone uneasy. The room smelled strongly of bitter herbs, and Xiulan's groans filled the air. Outside, the wind howled, almost like it was whispering. Liu Dezhu paced anxiously outside, occasionally poking his head into the room. Old Wang kept working while muttering, "The baby is coming, Xiulan. Hold on." Time passed slowly, and it was midnight when Old Wang's expression grew increasingly serious. Xiulan was already unconscious from the pain, as if something was stuck inside her, refusing to come out. Old Wang felt an ominous feeling in her heart, but said nothing, just worked faster. Suddenly, a piercing scream broke the silence of the night. Xiulan finally gave birth to the thing, but when Old Wang looked at the baby, her face turned pale. It wasn't a baby at all, but a creature covered in black scales. Its eyes were wide open, with blood-red pupils, like two burning flames. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth, and it let out a low growl like a wild beast. Its body was covered with strange lumps, each looking like an eye staring at the world. Old Wang was so terrified she almost dropped her scissors. She shook violently, as if her soul had left her. Liu Dezhu heard the scream and rushed into the room. When he saw the creature, his legs went weak, and he collapsed to the ground. The room fell into dead silence, except for the creature's low growling, which echoed eerily, as if mocking their ignorance and fear. Old Wang tried desperately to calm herself. Her trembling hands grabbed the scissors, attempting to cut the umbilical cord, hoping to save Xiulan. But the creature suddenly opened its eyes wide, let out a sharp shriek, then lunged forward and bit down on Old Wang's wrist. Old Wang screamed miserably, blood spurting everywhere. She struggled desperately. But the creature was incredibly strong, its eyes full of malice, looking like a demon from hell. Seeing this, Liu Dezhu was scared out of his mind. He stumbled to his feet shouting, "Help! Help!" His cries echoed through the village at night, but no one dared to come out. He ran for his life, the creature chasing after him, biting his leg. But he managed to escape and collapsed at the edge of the village, unconscious. The whole night, Xiulan's house was filled with the creature's growls and screams of terror. By dawn, everything had gone quiet. In the morning, the villagers found Liu Dezhu unconscious at the village entrance, his legs covered in blood. They quickly brought him home. After hearing his broken account, the villagers finally gathered the courage to go to Xiulan's house, and the scene left them stunned. The room was covered in blood. Old Wang's body lay on the floor, her wrist bitten off. Xiulan was lifeless on the bed, her face frozen in agony. The creature was nowhere to be found. Only bloodstains and a foul stench remained. Though Liu Dezhu survived, his leg was left crippled and he lost his mind. He stayed with his parents, often wandering around the village, shouting, "Come on, I'll hit you with a shovel." Perhaps madness was a mercy for him after all. No one in the village ever dared to speak of that night again. Xiulan's house was sealed off, and people took detours rather than pass by it. It was said that late at night, low growls could still be heard coming from Xiulan's house, and people believed the creature was still lurking nearby. This story also happened in a small village, surrounded by mountains with no easy way in or out. The villagers worked at sunrise and rested at sunset, living simple and peaceful lives. Until one day, a mysterious drifter showed up, and everything started to change. The drifter was a thin, scraggly, middle-aged man wearing a tattered gray coat. There was a strange light in his eyes that no one could explain. Nobody knew where he came from, and he never spoke. He just wandered around the village. At first, the villagers were wary of him. But since he didn't do anything bad, over time, they stopped paying much attention to him. One night, a young woman named Ying suddenly had terrible stomach pain, so bad she almost passed out. She was ready to give birth, and her husband, Hu, was in a panic. He quickly went to get Uncle Li, the village doctor. Uncle Li checked on Ying and found that something was very wrong. The baby seemed to be moving wildly inside her, and Ying was sweating in pain. Just then, the mysterious drifter showed up at Ying's door. He stood there and spoke in a hoarse voice. "Let me help you." Hu hesitated, but seeing how much pain his wife was in, he had no choice but to agree. The drifter walked into the room and took out a small black bottle from his coat. It contained a liquid that had a strange smell. He motioned for Ying to drink it. Ying was in so much pain that she couldn't speak, and with her husband's help, she managed to drink the liquid. Soon, Ying seemed to be in less pain, but the air in the room grew colder and colder, giving everyone a creepy feeling. The drifter put his hand on Ying's belly and started chanting in a low, strange voice. As he chanted, Ying's belly began to move violently, like something inside was struggling to get out. Hu was terrified. He looked at his wife's belly, and he could see it bulging, like a little hand was pressing against the skin, trying to come out. The drifter's chanting got faster and more intense, while Ying's groans grew weaker, as if she was losing consciousness. Suddenly, there was a loud noise, and a foul-smelling liquid burst out of Ying's belly. Then, a strange creature crawled out. It looked like some kind of weird plant, with dark green leaves and vines all over its body. The vines twisted and moved as if they were searching for something. It had no eyes, but on top, there was a giant, strange flower. The petals slowly opened, revealing something that looked like a mouth, making a deep humming sound, as if it was answering a call. When the drifter saw the creature, he smiled in a strange way. He gently patted the creature's vines, and it seemed to recognize him. The vines wrapped around the drifter's hand, almost like they were showing affection. Hu was too scared to say anything, and just stood there, staring at the drifter and the creature. "It is my child," the drifter said softly, "and your curse." Then he picked up the creature, turned, and walked out of Ying's house, disappearing into the night, leaving behind Hu and a dying Ying. The next day, word spread that Ying had passed away. People talked about what had happened that night, but no one really knew. The drifter and his child were never seen again. But after that, strange things kept happening in the village. Cows and sheep would disappear for no reason, and late at night, people could hear what sounded like a baby crying somewhere far away.